We reposition the shearwater on the south side of Anacapa Island. The Coast Guard eyewitnesses stated that the Lost Avenger made a glide straight into the water at a bearing of 170 degrees and crashed roughly 400 yards from the lighthouse. This will be the center of our search grid. Time to scan.
Yep.
We're now on the opposite side of the island, and we're roughly on that 170 degree
We're about
bearing.
on that bearing right now, so we really need to set up a scan area to look at that whole region south of the lighthouse.
So we got a lot of ocean to cover here.
So the way to do that is we use the underwater robots. These are AUVs, autonomous underwater vehicles. Our scans today, they're going to be a 4-hour mission each.
So if we get them all in the water 4 hours later, they come back with data, and hopefully
our target's in there.
Hopefully we got a plane.
Yes.
Okay, let's do it. Eric and I break out the big guns, or more accurately, torpedoes.
Lower down.
Okay, in the water. We gingerly lower Enzo and Magnum into the drink, followed by Scout. Scout costs roughly $500,000 to build. Godspeed! But according to her track record, she's worth every penny.
Scout holds the record for the most number of aircraft found.
Which is how many?
8.
Wow, okay, hopefully today 9.
Let's add them up.
All right, it's up to you, Scout. The distance in the accident report for the known wreck was wildly inaccurate, so Eric's team has programmed these sonar-equipped drones to cast a wide net. The AUVs will run 4-mile-long tracks on the south side of the island and scan more than 2 miles offshore, covering 8.5 square miles of ocean on this mission. Diving a search zone this size would take months, but the robots can do it in a day. Depth rated up to 2,000 feet and fully automated to avoid obstacles, the bots glide through the water, blasting out sonar pings to map the bottom. Meanwhile, we hunker down for the hardest part of this hunt, waiting. Four tedious hours later, we pull the AUVs back on deck and gather at Heidi's monitor to review the data. So, okay, how'd we do?
We can see the lanes here as the vehicles mow the lawn. Those vertical stripes are the vehicles driving back and forth underwater.
Okay, so what's in the data?
There's a couple of very interesting targets in this data set, yes.
Okay, what do we got?
So here's one of the particular targets that's of very high interest to us. We see very sharp sonar returns, very sharp angles to the geometry of the target.
Yeah, I mean, it's particularly interesting because it is just sitting by itself in an otherwise barren place, right?
Yeah.
That's definitely something to check out. We put a pin in our first target and run through more promising hits. I mean, that looks a little more rock-like, don't you think?
Yeah, it does. But it's still sitting by itself out on an open plain. It's got some relief to it.
This certainly wouldn't be an entire aircraft, but if this airplane broke up in flight, this could be some portion of aviation debris.
Okay, sure, yeah. I mean, anything that's out there that's isolated like this feels like it's worth looking at, right? Nothing screams, I'm an airplane, with unmistakable features like wings or a tail. But to the trained eye, these sonar targets tell a story.
You can see these really bright returns. It looks almost white on the screen.
Right.
That usually indicates certain kinds of rock or metal.
You got a nice long linear feature that could be something like the fuselage. You have 2 smaller things just to the south of that. Maybe that's something like the engine that came apart off of the fuselage.
And we see fish around it, so which means it's been colonized.
That's a good sign.
Marine life.
Well, it reminds me of the existing wreck in that it's sort of low profile, there's not a lot showing, and there's a lot of scatter there, so it could be a debris field. I mean, that's huge.
I think it's definitely worth taking a look.
How deep are these targets?
So these targets range anywhere from 180 feet to about 220 feet.
Okay, so too deep for us to dive.
We're gonna have to send the ROV down.
Sure, okay. Let's send a robot. Back on deck, Eric and I ready a remote underwater vehicle to take a closer look at the first target. Eric, I can't help but notice that this ROV is named Barry.
Yeah, one of our favorite singers, Barry Manilow. So in honor of Barry, we've named our robot.
Why is it really named Barry?
You know, we wanted like a really kick-ass name. Barracuda.
Yeah, I can see that.
Barry kind of is
Barracuda.
short for Barracuda.
How about, you know, I don't want to tell your business, but how about just Barracuda?
Well,
which is a way cooler name than Barry.
To be honest, I've lost all control of naming of these robots.
Somebody else did this?
Yes.
Okay, fair enough. Is Barry ready to go?
I think Barry's ready to go.
To make sure Barry's voyage into the depths is as smooth as his crooner namesake, we rig a drop weight to a cable.
Winch down.
This will help the ROV hold position against the currents on the bottom.
Okay, weights in the water.
Barry follows.
All right, lower yours down.
Okay, ROV is in.
And we carefully lower the ROV tether and weighted cable, securing the lines together as we go.
There we go. Okay.
What's your depth, Bob?
90.
He's at 90. Does he have bottom lock?
Yes. He's on the bottom?
Yeah, let's go have
Okay,
a look.
let's go see what's down there.
Once again, we gather around the monitor as ROV pilot Bob Hess closes in on the target nearly 200 feet below us.
We got something, we got structure.
Yeah.
What are you?
That's max light.
Look at that.
With the brights cranked up, we can see our target in stunning detail.
It's a boat.
It is not an airplane, but that looks like a shipwreck. Okay, so what are we looking at here? It's fiberglass, yeah?
Yeah, about
Okay.
10 meters in length.
And so what do you think? Not new, it's got a lot of growth on it, a lot of corrosion. How long do you think that's been down there?
I'd say probably 20 or 30 years.
And an old fishing boat?
Yeah.
Is that the engine?
Yeah.
That might have been a window. It might have been like a forward cabin that's collapsed in.
One target down, a half a dozen more to go. We pull up the ROV, motor to our second site, release Barry back into the briny depths,
Okay, ROV's in.
and glue our faces to the monitor as we approach the next object of interest.
Oh, something there.
What is it?
Something coming out of the darkness there.
All right, looks like the target's to the left here.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Finally, we home in on something man-made.
It's long, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And that could be a fuselage. It's hard to tell because it does look like whatever's here is just encrusted and buried, but you would expect to see some debris that jumps out. I mean, you'd
Typically,
expect to see
especially with the
something.
aluminum on the aircraft, we typically don't have a full incrustation like this.
God, you'd think there'd just be one thing poking through somewhere to give you a hint as to what it is. If this was a fuselage, it's like, where are the wings? It feels like there'd be more of a debris field around it.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Is that just rope?
So if that's rope, that's probably not a good sign.
Agreed.
I think this is a ghost net sunk in the area.
And we're seeing structure to it because it's all just clumped up on the bottom, you think?
I don't think this is our airplane, guys.
I don't either. I would just love to see one piece of man-made something other than that piece of line down there, you know?
Do we want to move on to the next target?
Yeah. All right, let's do this.
We repeat the same process all afternoon.
All right, well, let's go to target 4.
Reposition boat,
ROV's going in?
drop ROV, and anxiously watch the monitor.
Should be coming up on it.
Oh, there's some fish on it.
But ultimately, the results are the same. If the Avenger broke up on impact, finding bits of debris in these rocks is like finding a needle in a haystack. To rule out every possibility, we even run the AUVs on the north side of the island, near the known Avenger wreck site. All told, we scan more than 8 square miles of ocean, investigating targets everywhere we go.
Looks a lot like rocks.
Very similar to the other rocks.
Yeah.
But the lost plane remains a phantom. Exhausted and frustrated, we have run out of places to look.
All right, we've scanned the south and we've scanned the north. No sign of an Avenger.
This is the way it goes sometimes.
Yeah.
You exhaust all your options, you do a thorough job, and you still don't turn up the target you're looking for. We have one example where after a large survey, much as like what we've done here, a year later we found some anomalies in the data and ended up finding aircraft in it. So,
Really?
so this missing aircraft could actually be in our data set right now, and we just haven't exhausted it.
We never give up, right? We're going to keep going back. We're going to keep looking at the data. And if we have to come back with more vehicles and different technology, then that's what we'll do.
It's easy to think about these as airplanes, but this is really a story about people.
Yeah.
And there are 3 guys that are somewhere out off of this island waiting to be brought home. Guys, it's been an absolute pleasure. It really has. Yeah. Thank you so much for letting us come out here and see what you do. It's a ton of work, and it's really important work, though, so I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Unfinished business. We got to keep at it.
Absolutely.
Dennis Rule, Ernest Williams, and Russell Guzetta are still missing, but they are no longer forgotten. In-depth research and cutting-edge forensics revealed the details of what happened that fateful day in 1945. And with Project Recover working the case, the Lost Avenger may take flight again soon. But this story is bigger than the crew of just one plane. It is estimated that more than 18,000 souls were lost in training accidents during World War II. Because they never saw combat, they are not officially considered MIAs, and an effort to find them is long overdue. It is my hope that more searches will be carried out so that the soldiers who gave their lives for this country will no longer be left behind.